Hey, it's Tuesday here in my kitchen in Hollywood, California. And I'm going to get right into my story because you like a story. And I've got a good one for you. So, I went to a fashion school in Louisville. And, through the years I've said, well, I studied fashion. But it was a trade school. It was like going to nursing school or going to secretarial school, but it was for fashion merchandising. So you learned the ropes, you learned how retail worked, you took like these little, just not really heavy immersion, but you took these little classes that taught you a little bit about this and that. So you were more informed than most people when you went in to apply for a retail position, and you really were in a position. It did really benefit you because when they saw that, you had a better chance at becoming like an assistant manager or manager or something because they knew you meant business. You went to school for it, and I just could not get hired for a job, and I'm so poor, and it was a struggle just to keep gas in my car to drive to Louisville every day and to go to school, and I sure as hell couldn't have lived there because I didn't have any money. One job became available, and the fashion director said, this is the only job that is available right now for you, but you need to take it because you have to have the experience to write the term paper. I am willing to let you write your term paper on your experience as a porter at Lerner's on 4th Street. They have asked if we had anyone for the position, and so you may go down and apply for the position and talk to them. I said, what is a porter? She said, oh, they, like, at hotels, they carry the bags to your room and stuff. And I'm like, that sounds cool, because I think that, they wear cool uniforms, like pillbox hats and stuff. So I went down and talked to them, and, they weren't crazy about me, because I went in a beautiful suit, because that was one thing they said. When you apply for a job, act like you're applying for the position of the President of the United States. Make a good, clean statement. So I went in, and, and they were like, I really don't know if you're the guy for the job, because it's a dirty job. And you're apparently, you like to dress up and look nice and everything. So we'll let you know, but it's probably not going to happen. That's how it felt when I left. And I was like, I can't even get hired to sweep out the damn caboose. Hellfire. Well, they called me a couple days later and said, we thought it through and we've decided to hire you. You can show up for work tomorrow. And I did. But, the truth was, I was the only person to apply for the position. They couldn't get anyone to apply for the position. I found all this out later. They had to hire me because they didn't have anybody to sweep up their shit. And I'll tell you something. It's a filthy place. It was down on 4th Street. Their clientele was mostly welfare mothers. Okay? Because you could go in there with $15 and get yourself a rainbow-colored Lurex disco dress, black sheer, with multicolored Lurex threads going through it for, I don't know, $15. Anyway, it had been a pretty decent store, but honey, when they turned 4th Street into the River City Mall, it was the kiss of death. And really, Stewart's, I might miss one, but like Stewart's, Bick's, Coons the Flying Dutchman, one or two other ones, they remained there. But the rest of the businesses just became cheap wig stores. And I remember one after another, Bag Plaza. You could buy yourself a big vinyl bag for $2.99. Honey, I bought myself 6 pairs of crayons. You remember those little disposable? They cost $3 a pair. And they had transparent heels on them that were in different colors. They were like little jazz shoes looking things. Anyway, shut up about that because I'm down on 4th Street and I got me this job. I do want to describe the manager and the assistant manager of the store because it's pretty important. Okay, so the manager, her name was Gloria, and she was tall. She was tall and statuesque with big tits jutted out like bullets, and she never wore anything that wasn't clingy. So she would wear the tight striped dress. I don't blame her. I'd have been doing the same thing. She had one of those awful Lionel Richie permed mullets that everybody was wearing back then. It was not pretty on her, but she thought it was. Anyway, and the assistant manager, her name was Deborah, and the only thing that bitch had going for her was she had that really long blonde hair, and that blonde hair had opened every door and done everything she needed done all her life, because that's all she really had going for her was long blonde hair and a really bitchy attitude. Got it? So, I got fired from Learners. I got fired. I'm not even going to the reason why I got fired. It's, I did something that was stupid, but it wasn't like criminally, there was no criminal intent or anything. It was just a stupid thing I did without thinking, and they fired me. And I have one friend there, the one really good friend there, and she's still my friend. She was the window dresser, and her name was Linda, and she was like a little Leslie Caron type character. I loved her because I don't think she had to answer to those bitches. I think that she had to answer to the same people they had to answer to, because I don't think she was hired by them bitches. She didn't seem to, she would get along, but she would tell me right off, watch those bitches. Anyway. So, I get fired. I got fired. No. I want to tell you something. I got fired for taking a piece of, it was garbage. It was garbage. And every time I'd ever asked, this is garbage, can I have this? It wasn't merchandise. It was just something that was garbage in the basement, in the rotting room, because there was a room where everything rotted. And I'd say, and they go, oh, God, take it. What do you want that for? That's so weird. That's garbage, And I was like, okay. So it was pretty much garbage, but it was garbage I needed for my display at school. And they acted like I had stolen like the Hope Diamond or something. It was just that Deborah, smoking a cigarette, I'm going out the door and she goes, oh, let me check your bags. And I'm like, absolutely, check the fuck out of them. Check them, because I didn't care, because I wasn't doing anything wrong. She opens it up, and she sees in this old rotten mannequin wig that looks like a Marilyn Monroe hairstyle. But, this is from, like, a mannequin that had been thrown down in the basement in the 1960s and completely forgotten about. And I swear to you, I had no intention of keeping it, because you couldn't wear it. It was for a mannequin. It was sculpted out of like baling twine that had been styled into this, and I needed it for my Marilyn Monroe display. And anyway, so she said, well, I can't let you take that. And I said, oh, okay, fine. And I left. And when I came back the next day, she said, we need to talk to you. So the thing is, you did a very bad thing, and we're going to have to let you go. But here's what we're going to do, because we really like you and we know that you're strapped for cash. We're going to let you stay on until we find a replacement for you. And I thought, oh, how generous of you. And I went down the basement, and then I came back, and I said, yeah, I'm not going to take you up on that offer. And I felt so low, so blue, and I walked up to the bus. And when I got on the bus, my friend Joanne was there. Now, Joanne, she's kind of always been an angelic character in my life. She was my teacher, my friend, and she was on the bus because she was the fashion director at Stewart's, and she lived with her family on Cherokee Road, and it was real easy for her to just hop on the bus and go to work, come back, not have to worry about all that. So I get on the bus, and there's Joanne, and she goes, what's wrong, Snookums? And I said, I got fired. And she said something, she did not use profanity. She did not, but she said something very, very akin to, screw 'em, you're better than that anyway. Don't you worry, you're going to be fine. That's what she said. And you know what? So I got fired, and I went back and told Miss Boyle, I have been fired. I have been fired. Now, my school had a really good reputation for placing students in positions because companies would come to them and say, we need someone who would excel at this. And then they would say, well, we've got this student who would be great. And it happened a lot, and they used it in their advertisements. But they also had like an advisory board that was made up of fashion retail professionals, and they would meet and talk about what was best for the students and what was going on. They could meet. So I had this one favorite teacher. Her name was Cher Stumler. She had a beautiful bridal shop in Louisville, in Middletown. She was so fun, funny, beautiful, sophisticated. Just she pile us into her big light blue Lincoln Continental and drive us to, I don't even know where we went, but she was fantastic. She taught us the bridal business. I'll tell you something. I know more about the bridal business just from spending that time with her than most people who work in the bridal business. It was so fun, interesting. Anyway, she was a teacher there, because you could get these jobs, you could come in and you could do these teaching jobs on the side of your job because you were really teaching these kids something special. So, sorry, let me get back to it. They had an advisory board meeting, And Cher knew that I had been fired. And Miss Boyle was just kind of like, well, I just think he might just be unemployable. And Cher said, bullshit. So they had this advisory board meeting, and Cher said, I want to talk to you about something pretty important here. I said, and they said, what is it? She said, we pride ourselves on placing these students into jobs where they are a good fit. And we've got one of the most talented young men you will ever meet in your life going to school right here. He just got fired from being a janitor down on 4th Street at Lerner's. Could somebody hire this boy? That's what she said. And Jodie Foster was the manager of the Embry store at the Oxmoor Center, and she too was on the advisory board. And she said, my store could use someone to do the windows. Just a part-time thing. But if we could get somebody to do our windows, and if he's as talented as you is, I think, as you say he is, I think our company could, I think it'd be a good idea if our company could snap him up. So she hired me to do the windows at the Oxmoor Center. And this happened within 2 weeks. It was so fantastic. And I remember that I was in the window at Embry's, and guess what was next door to us at Oxmoor Center? Lerner's. I would have to go to Lerner's and buy stockings from a mannequin because they had cute, shitty stockings. You could buy them for $2, and I could use them on the mannequins because we sold Dior silk stockings. You couldn't, don't put those on the mannequin. But the mannequins must have hosiery. It was my first derby. I got hired in April, and it was my very first derby window, and I was putting the finishing touches on it, and I look out, and it is the regional manager of Lerner's, whom they had called to say, this guy is a thief, he stole a wig! And he's just looking at me and I'm like, yeah, what are you gonna do? Want to come in and tell him what I did? Come in, because I'm here now. Anyway, then the most miraculous part of the story, which is revenge, I will tell you. And I didn't have shit to do with it. I didn't have anything to do with it except listen to the story, because my little darling friend, Linda, remained my friend in the face of everything. Even invited me to the company Christmas party a minute after. No, that changes the timing on things, because I got hired at Embry's in April, so I guess I was unemployed in December when Linda invited me to the company Christmas party at her house, because she's like, I'm inviting you. And I'm like, well, she said, I don't care, it's my house, my Christmas party, I don't want you there. So I went to the Christmas party, and it was so fun, because everybody was so uncomfortable, except for Linda and me, because I guess they all felt guilty, and I guess they didn't really like me and stuff. But it was really funny, because then I started dicking with them a little bit, and stuff. I'd stop in and say, oh, that's really cool. I work at Embry's. And they're like, well, Embry's isn't that much better. And I'd be like, oh, I guarantee you it is, if you'd like for me to show you the research. It was funny. So here's what happened. I'm now working at Embry's part-time. I'm doing all 3 of the Embry stores windows in Louisville, doing real well, enjoying my life. And they're keeping me there because they're going to hire me as the full-time display director and fashion merchandiser. As soon as I graduate, they've got me on hold there. That's what's happening. My future is set. And then Linda tells me this. One of my jobs at Lerner's when I was a porter was to deal with the layaways. And what you'd have to do is, there was a rope pulley system behind the desk. And so I put it on a layaway, and they would they would put the layaway paper on it and then send it down the rope. And then I would have to go down there and take it and file it alphabetically. And then if somebody bought something, they'd say, Sammy, ding, ding, ding. And then I have to run down, find it, and then send it up to them. It wasn't that big a deal. So here's what happened. The manager, Gloria, and the assistant manager, Deborah, figured out a system where they could always be wearing the hottest disco fashions affordably. So what they would do is, when an item first came in, if it looked good, they would put it on layaway. They would put it in the basement on layaway, and then they would not pay on it. They wouldn't pay anything on it. They would just let it sit there until that item got marked down to clearance price, and then they would purchase. They got caught and were immediately let go. Yeah, because they were stealing. The people who thought I was the big thief, they were stealing. They were stealing. Anyway, that's my story. And I ended up getting that job, going to Lexington, having a good time, working there forever, getting in trouble still, doing things and doing stupid things. But, you know, I'm here now. And the bitches at Learners didn't take me down. Sorry, Gloria. Sorry, Deborah. I'm in Hollywood. Where are you? Bye.